everybody. We got another special guest for y'all. Everybody, welcome to the show, Cameron Kerkau. Welcome, Cam.
Thanks for having me.
So, Cameron, I mean, we ran into each other online on Twitter, and you got this cool book coming up. But before we talk too much about Gilgamesh, which hopefully everybody's gonna go check out, we all want to know what's your origin story? What got you into comics, and then what got you to the point where you wanted to start creating comics, or in your case, working in comics?
Yeah, so that's kind of a tough question for me because I don't ever remember deciding that I was going to write comics or that I was going to work in comics. It's just kind of something that I always knew about myself, you know?
Mhm.
I don't really remember learning about comic books. I just kind of always had them around the house. My grandpa was an antique dealer. I mean, he still is, and he'd always get these old comic books that were in really terrible condition. I never knew what to do with them, so he gave them to his grandson. So yeah, I've always read comic books. I always knew that I wanted to make comic books, and that's really all I can say about it. It was just it's felt laid out for me, you know.
It's funny because we actually have a antique dealership around where I live, and if you go, very few people know this, but there's a few of us in the comic collecting world around here that know. If you go into his basement, he just has all these boxes of old books that he's just gotten because people are like, "Here, take these."
Yeah. I feel like that's the end of a comic's life is in the some antique dealer's boxes in his basement.
Yeah, but good advice for anyone out there. You're looking for some old books. Go check out your local antique dealer. You never know. So you, at some point, you hooked up with SourcePoint, and you've been a associate editor over there. How did you meet up with those guys? And actually, just start there. How did you meet up with those guys?
So in college, I was writing for my college newspaper, and they gave me a comic book column where I could just go and write little articles about how I was feeling about comic books lately, And it turned out that Jay Fosgit, who is good friends with everybody at SourcePoint, it was around the time he was doing his first Marvel cover. So I found out about that from a mutual friend. I got his phone number so that I could write an article about this alumni from our college that's doing a comic cover for Marvel. It's kind of, big news for a little community college. But so I did an interview with him, and he hooked me up with Travis McIntyre, the CEO. So I got his phone number, and I talked to him a little bit about interning maybe at SourcePoint, and it never really worked out. But I just kept harassing him for a few years on Facebook, pitching him every terrible comic book idea I've ever had, and he heard all of them with grace, but never quite accepted them. Finally, I graduated college, and it turned out to be the perfect time. They had an internship spot available, and so I jumped on it immediately. And from there, I was hired like 6 months after that. No, 2 months, 3 months after that, something like that.
And right in off the bat as an associate editor?
No, I wouldn't say that. I'm an associate editor and the marketing and communications guy. So it started off with a lot of those responsibilities, the marketing and the communications, because that's what my degree is, in communications. So that's where I fit in the best. Also with digital publishing, I did a lot of that. Still do a lot of that. And kind of slowly they've been giving me more and more editing responsibilities.
That's funny. That's degree is technically communications too, but I went down the journalism route. So
yeah, I did spend a few years writing for a local newspaper, doing like local government coverage, going to town council meetings. The most boring work I've ever done, but I learned a lot about zoning laws.
Yeah, you never knew how much was going on in your town until you had to do that. It's it's a fun time. I've been there. So, I mean, you said you're mostly doing marketing stuff, but I mean, I guess my question is, what is an associate editor, especially for someone like SourcePoint? What does that entail, or is it literally just a title that leads you to the marketing?
No, they're very, very different. There's not a lot of like cross between those two titles. So right now, as an associate editor, I'm managing. So it's similar to like project managing something, and I'm editing. I think 4 books now, 3 or 4 books now. That none of them are out yet. Some of them are announced. One of them I'm really excited for is called Corollary. Adam Rose is the writer on that one, and that's going to be good. Look out for that.
From all the SourcePoint press guys I've talked to, I think that all their stuff is looking pretty good right now. But
yeah, cool. Yeah, so you're talking to Ryland. That was an interesting conversation. He's a good guy.
Yep, I look forward to talking to Ron again in the future. So at some point during this journey, you're like, hey, I guess I can write one on my own, and I mean that's apparently this book you got on Kickstarter right now, Gilgamesh Eternal. So what's the elevator pitch here? What's Gilgamesh all about?
Right. So Gilgamesh Eternal is a modern retelling of the Epic of Gilgamesh. The Epic of Gilgamesh is the oldest story that humanity has, and it's about this guy. He's part god, part human. He's a king. The strongest guy in town. He thinks that he's immortal. He thinks that he can do no wrong. He's got everything anybody would ever need. He's got. And then very suddenly he's struck in with a particular tragedy, which makes him realize that he can actually die. And with the stuff that he gets into, it's likely that he'll die violently. And so he goes on a quest to make sure that that doesn't happen. And things just kind of get worse for him from there.
And with a book like this, what always jumps out to me right away is the art. Like that usually sell. I mean, it's comics. Art's going to sell 99% of the books out there. But how'd you hook up with your artist here? Because I love the uniqueness of his style and what he's doing for the story.
So after I wrote the first draft of the first issue, I went on the hunt for artists, and there's an old blog which isn't used much anymore, but you can still find some talented people on there. It's called zwall.org. And so that's where I found Costas. He made a post, sharing his art, and I got his email address and I sent him an email. I mean, as soon as I went to his website, I was like just astounded. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. He's got like the most unique, dope style I've seen in a long time, and it's super unique. And there's so many different influences, and so when I saw it, I knew that like that style would give Gilgamesh a whole look of its own. Immediately reached out. We had a quick phone call, and I told him my plans for the series, and he was on board pretty quickly. The rest is history.
Is he taking on all the art chores for this, including like coloring and all that?
Yeah, so it's all done traditional watercolor and pen on paper. He's doing the pencils, inks, colors, and then Mira Immortal is lettering.
So we got the Kickstarter here. Now, when everybody's listening to this, it's a little bit further into the future. But as we stand today, we're at we're a little bit over $1,000 from funding. So it looks like you're going to make it.
Hope so.
But let's talk about what people can expect for backing it. I mean, you've got all these great tiers. A lot of the stuff that you come to expect from a Kickstarter, digital copies, physical copies, different covers. But what I love are the unique ones way at the bottom. And you're actually selling some of the original art for the book.
Yeah. And I just got that in the mail from Costas today, actually. I got to open up that package. That was cool. It was like Christmas morning. Those pages, I've been looking at them every day for months now, and seeing them in person, it was just like a whole brand new thing. It was like seeing them for the first time again. It's just unbelievable to look at these things on the original paper that he threw the watercolor on. It's just so incredible. And those are all still available as of this recording, so waiting to see who's going to grab those up.
And what I love is you can tell he's indie, because it's some of them are on just regular white paper. I see one that still has the spine from the sketchbook that he obviously drew it in.
Yeah,
it adds so much character to it. I love it.
Yep. That's Costas through and through.
And did he sign all of them as well?
Yeah, I believe so. I think you can find his signature on every one of those. He tends to just do that anyways for every page. I think he even signed the covers. The one cover. I feel like there was maybe one that I couldn't find his signature on, and I'm not sure which one that is exactly. Kind of looking.
Yeah, that cover he does is just phenomenal. Right off the bat, that's a great way to start your comic right there, is just with that cover.
I gave very. Sorry, I was just saying I gave very, very little direction with that. I wanted to see, what you would come up with if I just kind of like let him entirely on the loose. I just asked that Gilgamesh be on the cover, and that's what he did, and I was just jaw on the floor immediately.
Well, that's something I wish more people would do, and I'm seeing a lot in the indie community, not so much in the mainstream comic community. But like, my feeling is, I want the cover to be done by the interior artist, and a part of that is, if you feel so good about the interior artist, like, let them have the first look as well. Let people see that first. But it's also like a sales tactic to me. I mean, show the people what they're getting, and in this case, it's stunning. I'm sure it doesn't always work as well as this one, but and you have the variant cover for the Kickstarter. Who does that for you?
So the variant cover is by my friend Nolan Nasser, and he kind of surprised me with it. Actually, I've been talking to Nolan about Gilgamesh since before I even started writing it. Just one of those guys that I can like bounce ideas off of, and gauge if I've really got something or if I'm just, I don't know. But a lot of very early conversations about Gilgamesh I had with Nolan, and I think I even asked him once if I could commission him to do a cover, and he said, "No, I'm not taking commissions. I don't do commissions." I was like, "Oh, okay, that's fair." And then a couple of weeks later, he surprised sent me a message, and it was this work in progress cover that he was doing for Gilgamesh, and it wasn't even finished yet, but like that was like one of the coolest messages that I've ever had. Like, what an incredible gift. And it worked out really well because I think that the variant cover is very, very different from Costas' style. They're both beautiful, but one is, this very like colorful digital painting, and the other one is this kind of muted, almost like a solemn looking thing. I think they complement each other very well.
Yeah, it's definitely very different, but I do like it as well. Just like you said, it definitely has that digital art. Like it's almost like the old and the new. Like you got the old style with your interior artist, and then this guy who comes in with this really digital style, and just like the colors just pop very vibrantly throughout it. It's stunning, and it's going to make a great poster as well. Which, if you back the campaign, it'll have a poster of it as well. Everybody.
Yeah, that poster.
So, anyone backing this, like, is this your first Kickstarter campaign you've done?
This is my first Kickstarter campaign.
Have you had the chance to talk to printers already? Do you have that all set aside and ready to go when this is funded?
Yeah, more or less. I've got a friend who's got a lot more experience in dealing with printers, and I'm kind of going through him to sort everything out.
Okay, so we got reliable sources to make sure this book gets made. So that's good.
Yes. People a lot more experienced than I am are offering me their wisdom and support. So.
And if this kicks off and you still got, like I said, everybody, this is recording this a little bit early, so by the time you're all listening to this, it'll be about 13 days if my math is correct. But if do you have any stretch goals that you're trying to aim for, or are you just really trying to get to that main goal right now and focusing on that?
Right now, I am pretty focused on hitting that goal because this is, like I said, it's my first Kickstarter, and I think you can probably tell when you're looking at it. I've got a very like bare bones reward structure. You get the book, you get the variant cover, you get the poster, and then some digital goodies. I didn't want to go too complex and too complicated because I wanted to make sure I wasn't biting off more than I could chew, and I was really delivering on my promises. But I'm open to the idea of stretch goals. If this thing gets funded like 10 days early, then I'm gonna have to have something prepared, So,
That's always a good idea for first Kickstarter. A lot of guys do get caught up in well, I want to do this and that and the other, and it becomes more than they expect. When that campaign's done, it's a lot of work.
yeah.
So cool. I mean, I guess my last thing would be, once this is funded and done, do you have plans for more issues? Is this a 4-issue mini? Is this an ongoing thing you want to do for a while? What are the plans for it past this? Every creator's favorite question.
Yeah. So for now, I've got 3 issues written, and those 3 issues are a complete story that kind of retell the whole epic. Not really the whole epic because I start forward in time a little bit. It starts like midway through. If you're familiar with the Epic of Gilgamesh, it starts with them going after Umbaba. I don't know if that means anything to you, but basically the first 3 issues will end where the Epic of Gilgamesh ends. Though the ending might surprise people who've already read the epic. And then I'm playing around with ideas for future stories set in the same kind of world that I'm building off of here. But yeah, right now it's a solid 3-issue miniseries.
Awesome. Well, Cam, thanks so much for being on. If everybody wants to follow you further, what's the best place to send them?
Probably Twitter at Cam Kerkau, CamKerkau.
Awesome. So yeah, everybody, I'll have a link to that down below as well as the Kickstarter. Everybody, definitely go check it out. The book looks phenomenal. I really think the art's going to blow everybody away with its really cool watercolor style. It's definitely not something you see every day. So make sure you go check that out and follow Cam online. Cam, thanks so much for being on, and I look forward to the book and talking to you when the next issue is getting ready to come out.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.